Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is act. Let's look at some definitions. The first definition is to take action or do something. The second definition is to behave in a particular way or manner. I have an example of that. Sometimes you might hear someone described as acting silly. A third meaning for act is to fulfill the function or serve the purpose of. Right now, I know there are many parents that who are acting as teachers for their children while school is suspended. Another meaning for act is to perform a part or role. So this could be acting in a play, in a movie, or in a TV show. But it can also be to pretend to be something or someone. Okay. Act is a regular verb. To make the progressive form, all we need to do is add ing to the end. And to make the past tense and participle forms, all we do is add ed. Because the verb ends with a t sound that's unvoiced, our ed is going to make an id sound. So it's going to sound like this. Acted, acted. Let's look at some phrasal verbs next. The first phrasal verb I have for you is act on or act upon. They both have the same meaning, and that is to take action as a result of something. Here's an example sentence. The police will act on information they receive from witnesses. Another phrasal verb you might hear is act out, and it has two meanings. The first is to play a part. Here is an example of that. The children acted out Frozen. So one child says, I'm Anna, another child says, I'm Elsa, and they assign roles and repeat lines from the movie. Act out could also mean to give expression to thoughts, fears, or other things inside your head through your behavior, but not using your words. So something I've heard from many parents is that many children have been acting out since schools were closed. So perhaps the children are a bit scared or fearful, nervous, and they don't really have the words or aren't comfortable enough to express, so their behavior changes as a result. Another phrasal verb you might hear is act up, and for this we're talking about a specific part of the body or an illness or medical condition, and either of those things becoming painful. Here's an example of that. His leg seemed better after the operation, but recently it has been acting up again. This sentence is really just saying that the person's leg is now painful once again. Another meaning for act up is to behave badly or strangely. And when we use this, we could be talking about a person or we could be talking about an object. My example sentence is going to use an object. My computer is acting up. I need to call the IT department. Let's look at some additional example sentences. Today, we're going to focus on different progressive verb tenses. Okay? We're going to start with the past progressive. And for the past progressive, the way I often see this or hear it used is we have an action in the past that was continuing, and then it is interrupted by another action. And that second interrupting action is usually in the simple past tense. We'll see that in some of our sentences here. To make past progressive, we're going to use was and were, so past tense forms of be, and then we'll use the ing form of the verb. Here's an affirmative sentence. The police were acting on a tip when they stopped the driver. Okay, so you can see there, stopped is in the simple past tense. That was our interrupting action. To make the negative in past progressive, we're just going to add not, either after the was or were. And for many native speakers, you'll hear them use the contraction form. My car wasn't acting up until I decided to start driving across the country. Okay? So that interruption is the deciding there. So it's in the simple past tense. If we want to make a question in the past progressive, we need to change the order of our be verb and the subject. You can see that here. Were the children acting out? Next, let's look at present progressive. We use this verb tense to talk about actions that are continuing or are in progress in the present time. To make this, we're going to use the present form of be. So that's am, is, and are. And then we'll combine that with ing. He's acting in the new production at the theater. So I'm using a contraction form with my subject, and the be verb is, so he's, to make that affirmative statement. For a negative present progressive statement, we just need to add not after the be verb. The children aren't acting out the movie right now. Okay? And if we want to make a question, you're probably noticing a pattern here. We're going to switch the order of the be verb and the subject. Are you just acting happy, or are you really happy? So the use of act here, just acting happy, someone's asking, are you pretending? Okay. Let's look at present perfect progressive. To make this verb tense, we're going to use have or has, then been, B-E-E-N, and then we'll add ing to our base verb. We tend to use this verb tense to talk about an action that started in the past and it continues into the present. And we really want to stress the length of time that the action has been ongoing. Here's an affirmative sentence. She's been acting strangely for a week. To make it negative, we just add not after the have or has. They haven't been acting their age recently. So acting their age is a bit of an idiom that you might hear, and really it means behaving maturely, behaving appropriately for one's age. It's something that's often said to children to kind of encourage them to behave better, more appropriately, by sort of stressing how they're growing up and hopefully becoming more mature. If we want to make a question for present perfect progressive, again, we'll change the order of have or has and the subject. Have you been acting in plays since you were a child? Finally, today, let's look at some words that are related to the verb act. Act, without any spelling differences, could also be a noun, and it has many meanings. It could be a thing done, a thing that's completed. It could be a particular type of behavior. It could mean legislation, or it could be a part of a play. My example sentence here is going to use the meaning of legislation. Congress passed the CARES Act in March. That's the new legislation that's going to offer extra unemployment benefits, other money and support for small businesses and individuals here in the United States. Action could also be a noun. It has a few different meanings as well. It could be a state of acting. We could be talking about habits or usual acts as well. Here it is in a sentence. They are responsible for their actions. So here we're talking about habits or usual acts. Another noun you might hear is activity. This could be a state of being active. It could be specific deeds. The word activity is used a lot in many classrooms and schools to describe certain specific deeds or lessons and the ways students are going to be involved in learning. Here's activity used in a sentence. I need more physical activity in my life. Another connected or related adjective is active. It can have a couple different meanings. It could mean involving physical effort, or it could mean engaged in energetic participation. Here it is in an example sentence. Toddlers are very active. Right? So we're thinking of 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, and how much energetic participation they have in their daily lives. The final word I'm going to introduce to you today is actor. It's a noun, and it means a person who acts in plays, movies, television shows, etc. Now, if you've been studying English for a while, it's possible you've had teachers teach you the word actor for men and actress for women, and you'll still sometimes hear those words. But now it's starting to become more common to hear actor used for both men and women. And if they're trying to get very specific, you might hear male actor or female actor. So I used both in a sentence here just so you could see the spelling of the other word as well. The actors and actresses in the play were fantastic. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you'll be able to use act as you speak and as you write this week. Feel free to suggest other verbs you'd like to see in the comments section or try out some different verb tenses on your own. Have a wonderful day.